You're listening to the Womanpreneur podcast. Empowerment in business and life. Hey, welcome back to the Womanpreneur podcast. My name is Melissa Moats, and I am here with my sidekick and friend, Amanda McEwen. Awesomeness.
Hello, sidekick awesomeness.
I was trying to think of I don't know. I wanted to add some fresh adjectives.
Pizzazz.
Yeah, I want your intro to be as jazzy and sparkly as my sweater.
Good. Yes, I can use the embellishment.
Do you notice I'm wearing a party today?
I didn't know you were wearing a party.
I am wearing a party in the form of a cardigan.
A party cardigan. A partigan.
A partigan.
Okay, we're done. We've accomplished everything we need to do in this episode.
And thank you for tuning in.
We hope to see your partigan soon.
So what's going on? What are we going to talk about today with our fine
Besides
peeps?
partigans?
Besides partigans.
We're talking about knowing your own limits. So we have talked a lot about boundaries, but sometimes we have to set them with ourselves, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's good to push yourself to do more. It's good to challenge yourself, but there are times when you have to kind of say enough is enough.
Yeah.
And this is too much right now, or I need to say no, or I need to sacrifice this thing that I really want to do, because if I keep pushing myself and I don't get some sleep, it's not going to be good for me. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Again, we always talk about being in tune with yourself, and it's part of that. It's knowing when to push through and when to say, I need to hold on for now.
Yeah. No, there's so much to be said for that. I know you for the last 2 weeks have been going nonstop, not a single day off. And
I get one tomorrow. This recording this episode right now is the last thing I have to do before I go home and sit on the couch in my comfy PJs. And I'm really, really excited to go home.
You just lit up.
Tomorrow is my first day off in 2 weeks. And that's probably why this topic was in my mind as a thing that might interest our listeners and viewers.
No, but we pull from real life, and we incorporate all things that we are dealing with into our podcast because as things are happening, they're occurring to us this would be a good topic. This would be a good thing to bring to everyone listening. And I mean, I was thinking about you last night. So here's an example. This is a great classic example of, so you've been working for 2 weeks and a lot of energy output, and our dear friend had a birthday yesterday, and you pushed through. You showed up, you had fun, you were tired, because I know you and I know your pretty eyes, and you were sleepy.
I'd had to get up at 4 a.m. all week.
I know, that's
4.
Really, 4 is like, I get up, that's when I get up, that's my midnight, like I need to, go tinkle and have a sip of water.
I had to be
go back to bed.
Yeah, I had to be on set by 5 a.m.
I just said tinkle on our podcast.
I know, I was trying to blow right past it because... but now you brought it up and made it weird.
It made me feel a little weird.
Yeah. But I'm glad that was actually one of my examples why you laugh over there about, I can't even say it. I can't do it. That word's not coming out of my mouth.
Carissa calls it TT. Great. She goes, I gotta go TT. Okay, go ahead.
But here's the thing, and it's because to me, it's a logical process. I'm sure this shocks everybody, how I decide things, because there is balance, there's give and take, and it's weighing the different factors.
Yeah.
For that, there were a few things that came into play. One of them, Carissa's husband, Dustin, who we both love too.
Yeah.
He had a thing.
Yeah.
And he was willing to cancel the thing, but it gave us a really great opportunity to have a girls' night instead.
Yeah.
And we had talked about that. I don't know if Carissa knows we planned it that far in advance, but we had talked about it for a while before this job that I was on ever came to be. And so it was already committed. And as you know, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But when it came to yesterday, I didn't want to go. I did not want to drive all the way out there. It's far from my house. I didn't want to be around any people anymore. I was done with that. But A, Carissa's a friend. B, Carissa's a client. C, you were there. And it was a good opportunity to socialize. It wasn't so late that, it did go an hour long, but that
It was a great opportunity to paint birch trees.
They were not birch trees. They're aspens.
Are they?
Aspen's very important. So you kept calling them. You missed that. Carissa and I had a side discussion about that. These are not birch trees. But the only reason I got, apparently I'm defensive about the trees. I didn't realize that till it came out. Those are very big things in Colorado Springs. Where is my home? Where is my home?
Where is my home?
I told you I'm tired. I can't form the words anymore.
It's okay.
But we call them Quakies. And there's a sound.
Did we paint Quakies?
There's a sound that they make in the wind. It's one of my favorite sounds. Like I can't replicate it.
Try.
But it's one of my favorite sounds.
Give me an example of what you think it sounds like.
No. I know my limits, and I'm gonna say no.
Does it sound like this?
No, they don't whistle. They're not whistling trees.
Well, I have nothing to go by because I don't have an example.
Well, you think they're birch trees. So what does a birch tree sound like?
I want to know what a Quakey sounds like.
We'll go to Colorado.
Does it go Quakey?
It doesn't speak either. It's just a tree, Melissa Moats.
But
we'll go to Colorado. Come home with me sometime. We'll go to Colorado. You'll hear the Quakies and you'll apologize that you ever called them birches.
Well, I'm sorry. I went to a painting class last night. I've never painted a Quakey, and they didn't say it's Quakey night on the thing.
So
it said
happy.
it's birch tree night, and I was like, I'm gonna go paint some birch trees with non-birch trees with Sleepy Amanda McEwen and our dear friend Carissa. It was a lot of fun. And my sister came, which was a real hoot. She decided to sing ABBA really loud on her third glass of wine.
There was a lot of, you call them ABBA? I always heard of ABBA.
Oh, ABBA, ABBA, whatever.
Whatever. There was a lot of it.
Caps, ABBA. But all I know is that, what am I trying to say? My sister drank 3 glasses of wine and she became very entertaining.
She was very excited to be out of the house.
She has 2 small babies and she was like, I'm going to drink wine and paint non-birch trees.
Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, that is why. And I weighed the options in my mind and I was like, this is not, it's a special day for her. She's important.
Yes.
And that's what you do. Sometimes you put aside your own, okay, I'm tired. You know what? Who hasn't been tired at some point? I'll sleep at some point. I'll get over it. It'll be fine.
Tonight, precisely.
Probably. I still have Pilates early tomorrow, but after that, my Saturday, there's no computer, there's no any work thing, and I'm just I am off. I am off limits for the weekend.
I think it's
great. But that's part of the limits too, because I pushed it this week. And the lack of sleep and what it is, you know how my business works, and I have a number of clients, and it doesn't matter. They always say, if you want to get busy, go on vacation, or tell somebody you're going on vacation, because it doesn't matter how many days or weeks notice I give somebody to say I'm not available these days. Something comes up, I need you to do this one little thing. Is it possible? But then when every single client is coming at you with the one little thing, and it's easy to go internal and want to, especially when you're tired and maybe a little grumpier than usual, to think, okay, well, you didn't respect my time when I gave you the notice to plan that you could have asked for these things back then.
Right.
But you don't say that.
Right.
Because it's part of the job and you got to get through it. And when you're tired and grumpy, it's not the time.
And it's easy when you're tired and grumpy to take certain things personally that just maybe those things they weren't happening then, but they came up when they came up, and it's nothing personal to you, but it's just when you're tired, a lot of things are heightened, you know? And so it's knowing that too. Yeah.
And you always know, I hope, at least I always know it's not personal, because we talk about no room for emotion in business.
Right.
And people would not be my clients if I thought they were maliciously plotting, like, ooh, Amanda has to get up at 4 a.m. and have these long days. I'm like, I'm going to create stuff.
Yeah.
And just, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
But there are those options where I mean, I could have said no. Like I already explained, I don't have this time. I'm pushing, basically I have two options. I get enough sleep, so I'm rested for my big long day the next day, or I'm going to do this work for you. And that happened every single night this week. And every single time I chose, I'm not going to get enough sleep because I'm going to take care of what my clients need. Now that it's the weekend, there's no, I've hit my limit. And I can't do anymore because now it's starting to, like, if I don't get a solid night's sleep, like worse things could happen is you run yourself too scarce on those things like sleep and food and schedule and all of the things that we need. Then you risk getting sick. And once you get sick, then you're no use to anybody.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing that happens.
Yeah. I know for me, I have alarm bells like for my body. When I'm starting to feel like I am pushing myself too hard, first thing that always happens is I start to feel this really mild sore throat. It's like just like when I'm swallowing, like I'll feel like a tenderness in my throat. And that's always my immune system's signal to my body saying, hey, Melissa, you're really on the edge right now. Your immune system has been compromised. It's like, like this little.
I hear them in my head.
Yeah,
I can't do that sound either.
But it's alarm bells are going. So I will say, oh my gosh, I'm starting to get sick. I need to drink some water, make sure I'm super hydrated, make sure I'm taking my vitamins, my vitamin C. And then for me, I need like 10 hours of sleep stat. Like I need to like get some really good solid sleep. And so, I think that it is something to really look at on the physical side of things, running a business, running your life, you're running your personal life, everything, all of the above, is making sure that you are taking care of your body and making sure that you're getting rest and getting good nutrition and getting plenty of water and taking care of that. And sometimes you have to say no to other things that are more fun. I just had this conversation with my brother, actually. My nephew, he's a new college student, still lives at home. He's working a full-time job. He's bartending and serving, and then he's going to school full-time. But he still wants to go out and do fun things with his friends, but he works at night, so it's hard for him. So sometimes he'll get off work and then he'll go hang with his friends, and he won't get home till like 2 or 3, get up, then he goes to school, then he does it all over again. And he got super sick recently, and this kid's never sick. And my brother was like, oh my gosh, he's been sick for like 3 days. He's been burning the candle at both ends. And this was his first taste of adult life burnout kind of a feeling. And he was trying to explain to him, yeah, I know you want to see your friends. Yeah, I know you want to work, but something's got to give. It's that old saying, something's got to. So,
it's a saying for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So for him, it was learning that he can't do that all the time, or his body's he's got to learn how to know his limits.
Yeah. And the saying no is, when it's fun, it's saying no, or saying no, it can be bad because you want to go do the fun thing. And so there's times when it comes into that, it's almost a political decision, especially again, when we're talking work. Like I was recently at an event in LA and flew out early in the morning, had to work all day. It was like, I think 14 or 15 hours of work, and I was starving as per usual. But a lot of the crew, they wanted to socialize afterwards. Like we just had this incredibly long day and I still needed to eat, and they just wanted to hang out. They're extroverts. And I had to explain. And even for one of them, I tried to explain how introversion works. And he's like, I don't think you're an introvert. Okay. Like, I don't really know what to say about that. But there are times when you don't go with the group, then you can be viewed as antisocial or not being part of the team. There's different negative repercussions there. And as with everything, it has to be balanced. I had to eat anyway. So I went with them to dinner. And as we were sitting through dinner, I felt my energy level draining real fast. And it was going away. And fortunately, a couple other people showed up. And it was just a great opportunity to sort of let them go do their thing. There was a Whole Foods next door. I grabbed my breakfast for the next day and my water supply because I drank a lot of water. And then I excused myself and I went back so I could just have some alone time and go to sleep.
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, they all went to the bar afterwards. It was the whole thing. Who knows how late they were out there, but I couldn't do that.
Yep.
But I didn't want them. It's a fairly new client. I'd only worked one job with them before. So you kind of have to play the game a little bit, but still be true to yourself. And it can be really difficult to know and to be able to explain that to, I mean, the clients understand, they got it, but sometimes the explanation is necessary to show, like, I'm not trying to be antisocial. I'm an introvert.
It's called also, I'm not trying to be antisocial, but I know my limits. And this isn't, I've never been a person who's been able to like stay up and stay out super late and then get up early and be my best, or even be half of my best. I just, honestly, I like to do my best work. So, I had an interesting little moment this week. This topic I can apply to that as well. So know your limits on the work side of things. There's two things that happened this week that definitely this rings through. One is I am very fortunate and very thankful to be as busy as I am as a voice actor. And I love voice acting and I love doing multiple jobs every single day. But during the holiday season, we have a huge rush of work. I mean, huge rush.
Black Friday sales,
Tons.
Cyber Monday sales, Christmas sales, holiday sales.
Get your picture taken with Santa and do this and do that. And anyway, I've been thankfully just, it's like somebody turned on the VO, the voiceover faucet. And
what does that sound like?
Right? It's like, it's like high pressure. It's awesome. But how does a Quakey tree sound?
Like a Quakey.
Whatever.
Nice try.
So I was doing a lot of work this week and I was getting toward the end of my day and I started to notice my voice was a little scratchy. And I was like, woo, I'm feeling that. It wasn't the alarm bells like sore throat, like I'm getting sick, but it was physically scratchy. And I was like, I need my voice to sound good tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. So I need to really back off. Well, I had to teach that night and I knew that I was going to be talking all night in addition to voicing all day. And so that night I actually mic'd myself. So I mic'd myself so I didn't have to push my voice very much when I was teaching. But the next day I had several clients saying to me, I know you're really busy, but I just need this one thing. But I had several people saying, I just need this one thing. Can you please help? And so there were certain ones that I did take on and others I said, listen, I actually said to the client, I don't know if my voice is going to even hold out for today because I have so much to do. But if I can get it to you by first thing tomorrow morning, I promise you it'll sound better and you'll be glad you waited. And a lot of them were like, absolutely, tomorrow morning is still great. So I had to do this, I had to walk this fine, line, if you would, and say, I want to be there for all my clients, but I also know I need to really take care of me and know my limits of my voice. I had to literally know my physical limitations of what my voice would be able to do because I also knew I had more teaching, I had more voiceover to do, and I was just like, I can't,
And some podcasts that you have to record.
Got to do some podcasts, but it's a lot physically. It takes its toll, and I want to sound good. I don't want to sound like, I don't know, Scarlett Johansson after she just smoked a pack of cigs, to like, be raspy and sexy. Unless that's what the client wants, I can do that. But anyway, that was one of my know your limits. Yeah. The other know your limits was regarding other things on my plate. I had a lot of other responsibilities for the studio and a lot of other things I had to write. I do a lot of writing for our blog and the podcast and the studio and just stuff. And I was like, you know what? I will get to whatever I can get to today, and I'm going to apply myself maximum focus, maximum, just no distractions. I'm just going to do my very best. And you know what I would say at the end of the day? I did my very best work today. I did everything I could possibly do. There's nothing more I can do. I'm just going to feel good knowing I did that. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yep.
And there's a lot of power in that, to say that to yourself,
Yeah.
a lot of reassurance.
Yeah. And it sometimes you have to, you have to accept. I know we always talk about, I'm going to do all the things, but there are times you have to know your limits and accept that I can't do them all today.
Yeah.
And that, it comes into play so often. And just saying, and you're talking about deadlines, or your clients all needed stuff. And sometimes, and it depends on the particular situation, but that's why you can't be afraid to have conversations with people, because sometimes they might ask for something to be delivered by 12 o'clock today. But I know I make up deadlines for my people because I have to. Sometimes it's for a comfort. It's going to make everybody's lives easier if we get this done early. But then if you give them the options, I can get it to you by 12 today, and I'm going to sound a little bit different and raspy and like I just smoked a pack of cigarettes. Or if you can wait until tomorrow morning, and sometimes it happens, somebody wants something by end of day today. And there's really no difference between end of day today and first thing tomorrow morning, because they're not waiting for it to come in overnight.
Right.
And so it's just being able to ask, I know you requested it by this time, but would it be okay if this, and this is the reason why? And your client was happy to say, yeah, let's wait till it sounds good and just get it to me in the morning.
Absolutely. And I think they were appreciative that I was straight up and told them why. And also, I wanted to be really careful because a lot of my clients will say, I know you've got a lot on your plate this season. I know you're very busy. I never want one of my clients to feel like they're less important to me than another client.
Or like they're bugging you?
Yeah, or like they're bugging me. They're all important to me. Every single one of them, and every project that I have the privilege of voicing is a big deal to me, and I want everyone to know that they're important to me. And because I didn't want to come across to this client like, oh no, I can't get to your project because I'm too busy today. Because it could have appeared that way. It was me being really honest and saying like, hey, I truly have some vocal limitations and I'm getting scratchy and I need to wait, But I've been struggling a little bit with just the amount of stuff that I've been trying to stay on top of, not even ahead of. Like I can't even keep ahead of anything. I'm just, as it comes, I'm just like trying to keep up with things. And I have a lot of things that I'm behind on and are stacking up. But what I've been doing is just saying this, I know that I'm giving it my all, and I know that I care about everything that I'm working on, and I want to give my best work and my best quality of me to everything I do. So I'm not going to half-ass anything I do.
Right.
I'm not going to rush through it to get it done just to check it off my list.
Right.
I'm going to give it my full energy and focus in that moment.
Yep. And that's what your clients deserve.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves that. You want the best, not the fastest.
Yeah. And so you just have to, I know I'll say, man, I was telling Troy, it was like 4:30 or whatever, and I had to take a little coffee break. It was a day where I started at 6 a.m., my work day, and I knew I wouldn't be home from my work night until 11 p.m. because I taught that night.
Right.
So it was around 4:30. I was like, I just want to have a cup of coffee and just chill for 20 minutes. And we were sitting in the living room, and I said to him, I can barely keep my eyes open right now. I said, I am so exhausted, and I know you know that feeling. And I said, I have stuff that I need to go voice and is the stuff that's due tomorrow that I need to get done. And I need to finish getting my class ready and do all this stuff. And I was like, but you know what? All I can do right now is just sit here. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I did sit there. And you know what? That was the best thing I could have done for myself. And I was like, I don't want to live my life moment to moment, just checking boxes and finishing projects. I want to just take a breather sometimes and have a nice cup of coffee.
Right.
And I did. And it was great. So anyway, just some things.
Just some things.
Yep.
Yeah, one of those things of I know my limitations, and I know myself well. I've been working for a very long time. I need at least 2 hours. I know this sounds very specific, but I need 2 hours from the time I stop working until the time I go to bed. And I need to spend that time watching a show, reading a book, listening to a podcast, something that's going to occupy my brain to get it away from work. Because if I stop, like shut the laptop and then try to go to sleep, my brain is still working on all of that, and it's not good sleep, and it's usually not enough sleep. And that becomes very important. I have to set that limit sometimes to say, I need to stop now. It's not done. It's not going to get done. And like this week with everything else, I wasn't able to do that. And when I needed the sleep the most, I couldn't, because my client needed that one little thing or whatever happened. And I chose to prioritize the client. And I don't regret that at all. But it did get to that point where I didn't sleep because I didn't give myself enough time. And I had the option. I mean, I could have still stayed up 2 hours to like watch TV, but that didn't feel responsible when I needed to sleep. So I thought I'd give it a shot. But I'm very predictable in my patterns. We talked about this during our painting mission last night. Our ways of life came out in our brush strokes. Mine were very rigid and very logical. If you can say that a painting of trees is logical, I feel like that's what mine was.
It was really
was kind of funny.
We stood back. The four of us stood back and looked at all four of our paintings, and each painting was truly a reflection of our personality. It was so clear.
It was weird.
It was so clear. It was incredible. But and speaking of, you need 2 hours to wind down at night. I need an hour in the morning to sit quietly to wake up. Like I have to sit there for 1 hour. I need an hour to sit there before my brain is like, hey, we're going to do some stuff now. Okay.
It's funny. I try to give myself that in the morning. That's one of those that I can go either way. Like when I had to be somewhere at 5 a.m. So I was up at 4 a.m. I wasn't going to wake up at 3 a.m. to have an hour of quiet before I went to do the thing. but when I have the time, I don't like to get up and just go straight to work. I like to unwind from sleep. Is that a thing? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but if I don't have time,
or wind up for life,
wind up, right.
You're either winding up or you're winding down. One of the two. Revving up, I don't know.
We're doing something. But yeah, I start if I know that I have that much to do, I will start early. Yeah. Because I know that I slow down. We've talked about productivity and our rhythms and all of that. I'll slow down as the day goes on. So it's easier I don't have time to play on my phone this morning. I don't have time to listen to that or whatever. I just need to get up and go straight to work. Get into it. That's fine.
So I think like for everyone listening right now, maybe stop and ask yourself, what are your limits when you're looking at your personal life, when you're looking at your business life, or, what do you need to start your day and be your best? Mm-hmm. What do you need to do to wind down at night to get your best rest? Mm-hmm. What are those things for you? Maybe it's something you've never just stopped and asked yourself that question. Right. Because I think we do so many things on autopilot, like life. We're just, I think they say like it's a crazy high percentage of everything that we do every day is such a, it's just like a pattern or like a behavioral pattern. It's like something that's built into us that we just kind of go on autopilot, that we don't always stop and just like ask ourselves, let me look at that. Right. Let me see how is that working for me? Should I adjust something? And you have to decide too, like what your priorities are. And this just happened this morning. I had a meeting with a client. It's somebody I've known for a while. We've worked on working on projects together, but this is the first time it's actually going to go forward. But in addition to the one project, he basically offered me a job.
I can't not call it a job now, but his business is growing really fast and he needs somebody like me that can just manage all of their projects with all the creative team and do all these things. And I'm always honored with being asked to do things like that. But the first thing that I had to tell him is like, I am definitely interested in working with you and helping with all these projects. That's definitely in my skill set. I don't want to go sit in an office all day. And if that's what you need, I'm not the right fit for it. And there was some encouraging, just think about it. And I have, and I know myself well. The number one I have so many reasons. I shouldn't give them numbers or favorites because there's so many that I like about working for myself. But the biggest part that I get the joy and reward from is the flexibility in my own schedule. And I know no amount of money for me right now is worth sitting in an office all day. And like we talked about in the last episode, having somebody else decide when I can eat and when I can take breaks. And not that he would be like that at all. It was I know that environment. It's a very casual, laid back environment. There's fun people. They're very talented, but I know my limits there. And I mean, and it's close to my house. I can get there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that commute, I don't want to be away from home that much where it's Monday through, I left that world for a reason. And it reminded me on my drive over here that this was like 2 or 3 years ago, pretty early on into starting my own business, I'd had another opportunity like that for a really big studio to go build a new division. And it was a huge job. And it would have required me to be in LA 4 or 5 days a week. And they would get me an apartment there. They wanted to set me up, but basically it was for several months to get this thing built. And then ideally they wanted me to stay on and run the place.
Right.
Huge company, huge opportunity, probably a lot of money.
Yeah.
Never got to that point. I didn't care because when I really was honest with myself, I don't want to be in LA. I don't want to be away from home 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I just don't want that life.
Yep.
And a lot of times people put the focus and the priority on money, but what good is the money if you don't have any free time to enjoy it?
Right.
And it just comes down to really knowing what my limits are. I mean, I could have pushed through it for all those months, but I know I wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Yep. Another thing that popped in my head as you were talking is the whole idea about assessing each situation, with your limits and how you are going to approach that. Like your example with the other night going out with those guys, it was like you did an assessment,
Yeah.
and then like the thing with us doing a fun social thing to celebrate our friend's birthday, you did an assessment about what it meant to you, what it meant to the person. And, it's like there's a sacrifice involved sometimes with knowing your limits. And then there's always, you've got to look at the sacrifice and then you've got to look at the payoff, or the risk versus reward kind of a situation.
And even with that last night, sorry, we'll go
you're
back.
fine.
If it was not her birthday, it would have been a different story. Yeah. And it could have had a different outcome. I might have still gone. I probably would have still gone because I said I would. But it changes things. Sometimes the little details, it changes that assessment. Because if it was just a regular Thursday night or whatever night it was, I think it was Thursday, it wouldn't have had as much importance.
Yeah.
But it was Carissa's birthday.
And that's a really important day.
Yeah. And I don't get to socialize with her ever. I mean, we communicate every week because of work.
Right.
But I don't see her hardly except for on very rare occasions.
Yeah.
And so that that played into all of it. Yeah.
Well, I think knowing your limits is a really awesome topic. I mean, it's a really important thing to look at in your life. And what were you going to say?
Emotional limits, mental limits.
Mental and emotional limits. What a good...
And it does tie into boundaries, which we've talked about. I'd never want to get repetitive, but it's just so important. And
it's such a big part of our life, though. Boundaries, that comes up every day. That comes up multiple times a day. I just have to give a shout out to Abby Motes because we're right before we started rolling for our shoot today. She was standing behind the camera and Amanda's like, yeah, we're going to do, our topic today is, knowing your limits. And Abby's like, your mental limits, your emotional limits, your physical limits. And she's like, yeah, doing a little dance back there.
She's pretty smart.
She's a smart chick. Yeah. I like that kid. But no emotional limits. So let's look at that for a minute, and mental limits.
And I think it weighs into setting those boundaries and not being too much of a people pleaser. But there are times when somebody, and for me, this always comes, like if somebody comes to me with a problem, I am there. Mm-hmm. I support them, try to help them, listen. If they want advice, I'll offer it, whatever people need. But if they come to me then again with the same problem, I lose my patience a little bit more. Not patience is the wrong word, but it's okay.
You're less compassionate.
A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there are some people that have the same problem over and over and over because they're not willing to change the thing that is the problem.
They're not really looking to correct it or to apply a solution.
They're in an unhealthy relationship with somebody who's verbally abusive. Okay, I know it's hard to leave a situation like that. It's very difficult, especially, if you're financially dependent on that person, in some way you're emotionally dependent on them, even though they're not nice to you. I've never been in that situation, so I can't say, and I have sympathy for that. But at some point, you have to put yourself first and make a step towards changing and getting out of it, as scary as that might be. And sometimes people have to do a complete overhaul of their lives to get out of a situation like that. And it's very scary, and you need a lot of support to do it. But if you're not willing to change it, you at some point you can't complain about it anymore. Yeah. And that's a really extreme circumstance, but I knew somebody that was going through that, but she was not willing to make any changes. Yeah. But she would cry all the time, and I felt awful for her. She was going through such a terrible situation that nobody should go through, but she wasn't willing to do anything to change it. And she just, I need him because I can't afford to live on my own. And that to me is sad. It's valid. I know plenty of people that stay in relationships that they're not happy in because they're scared to be on their own. Maybe there's kids involved, and financially they need each other. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reasons, and I'm not saying that those aren't real reasons, but sure, at some point when the problem doesn't change, you have to change something to make it go away.
I remember for me, a mental or emotional limit was, I remember I had a friend, and I said it in the past tense, because I just decided that the friendship just was not healthy for me anymore to be a part of. This is someone I've known since I was a really small girl, like a childhood friend. And we were friends for lots of years. And she was caught up in a lot of really unhealthy patterns or cycles, if you would. And same thing, was just always coming to me with daily drama. Mm-hmm. She was always mad at someone. She was always upset. She was always, just everything was always very, very just dramatic and negative. It was like a daily thing. And it was very exhausting to engage with that kind of conversation every day. And I don't know what happened, but we all have that, that saying, the straw that broke the camel's back. It's just like that one more straw, that one more straw, that one more straw. And then all of a sudden it's just like, you can't take it anymore. Right. And I was out with this particular friend for dinner, and she'd been really kind of in a darker place, taking it to new levels of toxicity. Let's just say that. And I remembered thinking, not being judgmental, but just being observational about her and her life and her tendencies, and me and my life and my tendencies, and like what was important to me and where I was going, and what was important to her and where she was going. And I just realized I had this crazy mental limit epiphany during dinner. I thought, you know what? I don't have to do this.
Right.
I don't have to subject myself to this crazy negative drama toxicity ever again if I don't want to. Yep. Starting right now. Yeah. Like right now in this moment, I was like, Oh my gosh. Like I was sitting there eating my Caesar salad and she was looking at her phone and just complaining, that whole like wow, 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 wow about whatever. And I was just like, this is it. I'm not doing this again ever. And guess what? I haven't. It's been like 5 years and I've been free.
Yeah.
Free. And I mean, I'm just like a little pumped up about it right now.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, if this was a movie scene in the middle, like mid-bite, mid-Caesar salad, like you'd have half a crouton chewed and you would have just gotten up and while she's talking and just walked out. Like, I can see that. I'm sure you waited till the meal was
fork with me. I don't know. It's like, or I would have
the fork of freedom.
The fork. I would have done a fork drop and then left. But honestly, like I say this with so much passion and love. And by the way, this person that I'm describing, I wish her all good.
Yep.
I wish her nothing but the best.
Yeah.
But here was the deal. The deal was I wished her nothing but the best for over 20 years.
Yep.
And I gave her nothing but the best of my love and my support and my encouragement thousands of times over. But the story never changed.
Right.
And it was always the same thing. And I had to realize my mental limit. I had to find it. And I finally found it mid Caesar salad bite. And I was just like, here it is. But the reason I wanted to share that with so much detail was because I had to go through all that tough stuff and I had to give a lot. I had to be emotionally depleted a whole lot before I finally realized I was the one that had the power.
Yeah.
I was the one that could make the decision that this friendship wasn't serving me. It wasn't serving her either. It was just one of those things where I had nothing left.
Yeah.
So that was a big learning opportunity for me.
Yeah. And when somebody's not willing to change, it does become an issue because you can't, they're coming to you supposedly for some kind of support, some advice, something, but they're not accepting it. Because if they come back with the same problem, well, obviously your advice didn't matter. So why let them keep coming to you when they're not valuing what you have to offer in the first place?
Yeah.
And that goes to client relationships as well. You don't have to keep working with a client. It doesn't serve you well mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever.
Right.
You don't have to. Just because you need the money, there are other clients out there who will give you money and treat you well.
Right.
It comes to being responsible, having a plan, doing all the right things. But at some point, I mean, if you're at your limit with the same person, no matter what the relationship is, over and over and over, you have the power to get out of it.
Yeah. And if you find that you're the person who's maybe full of the toxicity, or you're the person who's having all the problems, realizing, you know what, wait, let me stop. Maybe I can get some help. Maybe I need a counselor. Maybe I need, to be involved in a support group. Maybe I need to really ask someone I trust to help me look at my life through, from a different vantage point. What is the problem? Or maybe the problem is, an abusive relationship, or, fill in the blank with whatever that problem could be for you, and just saying, I need to fix this. I need I'm at my mental or physical limit with this. I need to fix it. How can I do that?
And then the important part is knowing your limits and then not letting people push you to them.
Yeah.
Stop before it gets to that point. And sometimes you don't really have the choice. Like I feel this week, I knew I was at my limit. I knew I didn't have an extra hour to do that one little thing for every single client, but I did it anyway. And I that was my choice. I could have said no.
Right.
But again, my logical process, it was weighing, okay, well, if I don't do this, how does it affect them? And is that effect going to be bigger than my having an hour less of sleep?
Right.
Yes, it is. They need me for this. I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to complain about it either. I know I'm talking about it now, but it's more from an objective point.
It is.
Because I'm not going to complain at my clients for giving me work. For needing me so badly.
Right.
That's not a bad thing.
I was just going to say too, though, you really did come through for a lot of people, even though you were tired and you made that sacrifice, but you're looking at the bigger picture. You're looking at, all of those relationships and the longevity of, like you said, being so valuable to so many people and people appreciating it.
And one of it, I mean, part of the reason the tiredness compounded was I got a last minute job last weekend where it was Friday and I had no plans for the weekend. I was really excited for my no plans, but I got this call on a Friday and they were panicked and like, we need you now. We need you this weekend. It was a brand new client. It was a big client. It's one that I have been wanting to build a relationship with. And at first I was really annoyed. I didn't want it. I thought about saying no. Like, I don't want to work this weekend. I don't want to go do that. And I was getting grumpy in my head. My inside voice was really frustrated. It's like, no. But then it was, okay, let me be realistic about this. What do I need to do this weekend? I'm going to sit at home and watch some shows. So when I could be out building a new relationship, making some money, having a good time, and I laughed at myself and was just like, man, because I really like my weekends where I don't have to do anything. But I did that job and I built a new relationship and they called me for another job. And it was not really a sacrifice in that sense. Now, however, I get to go home really soon. And it's almost my day to do nothing. And this time I'm at my limit. So nothing.
I just had this one thing I was wondering if you could do for me.
No, Melissa Motes, you've had your one moment.
I'm just kidding.
I'm done with you, but only for the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, I'll come back around and I'll do it for you on Monday.
I was going to say, I'll see you Monday, right?
Yeah.
No, but and what makes me feel good is you do know your limits, and you also know that you are just so ready to feel good and to feel rested and to have your you time. And you know what? It feels good to feel good.
Yeah. I've been.
Let's all stop and think about what makes us feel good. What makes you feel good?
Can I tell you the ridiculous part about my
please.
excitement? Maybe you have this. I have like my favorite sweatshirt to wear at home.
Yeah.
And I've been saving it for tomorrow.
I know that. I know about that.
The only thing it doesn't have are thumb holes. It's the only thing it's missing.
You could get some scissors and
it's super soft. It's big. It's fluffy. It's warm.
What color is
it? It's like green. It's almost camouflage, but it's cold outside right now while we're recording. Like, it's the perfect time. I've been waiting. Part of what I've been looking forward to. I'm so happy. I'm tired, but I'm happy because it's almost time.
You're tappy. You're tired happy.
I'm tappy. You've got a part again. I'm tappy.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done. I'm done with this episode now. I've reached my limit.
I know.
It's time to go.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm going home, guys.
It's time for Amanda to go home and get happy in her non-thumb hole, fluffy, camo-ish, tappy jacket thing.
Is there anything you'd like from the people listening and watching?
We would love it if you guys would, a couple of things. Leave us some comments, leave us some reviews, engage with us, because we want to know you're out there. We want to know if we're helping. So you can check us out at the womanpreneurpodcast.com. That's got a link to all of our social. We're everywhere. We're on all the things. We're in all the places.
We have no limits when it comes to that.
We have no limits. But you know what, guys? Just find your happy, feel good, and put on your happy sweatshirt.
Your tappy part again.
Your tappy part again. What a good way to end it. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning into the Womanpreneur podcast. Until next time, you've got this.